After all our difficulty, you want to marry me? I have no doubt we'll avoid difficulty. Weekly. Stefanie Powers, 82, who within Heart toured, Robert Wagner created television's perfect marriage. Composure and elegance of a bygone icon. She kept quiet about Catalina for over 40 years, speaking about Wagner merely as a former friend who understood me best. That silence was formerly considered loyalty until she unexpectedly it broke. In an exclusive Variety interview, Stefanie Powers was forthright about Natalie Wood's autopsy reports' purported secrets alluding at Wagner's great fortune after the catastrophe. What caused her speak out over 50 years later? How did her words go public? Did Hollywood's last gentleman, Robert Wagner, respond? Thanksgiving night 1981 saw a dense fog off Catalina, California island. Sea was eerie still. Through the yacht's splendor shimmered in the cool mist. That yacht where Robert Wagner, a heart-to-heart star, sponsored lavish trips. That night, a few hours later, the vessel previously connected with a sophisticated gentleman would host one of Hollywood's most frightening mysteries. The famed Natalie Wood was found dead at daybreak on November 29, 1981. West Side Story and Rebel Without a Cause actress floated less over a kilometer from Avalon Harbor. Her lifelong red nightgown, a backward jacket, and socks on her feet. Her hair was damp, seaweed tangled. The autopsy found bruises on her wrists, knees, and arms, but dismissed them as post-mortem injuries. In private notes, Coroner Thomas Nguchi wrote controversially, "These injuries appear inconsistent. A natural fall." The statement never surfaced. Official report. Robert Wagner says Natalie, the night before, she and Brainstorm co-star Christopher Walken had supper at Doug's Harbor Reef, a Catalina luxury beach restaurant. Wagner explained the staff remembered a pleasant evening but a watertight environment. A waiter told the LA Times. He slammed his drink on the table. Natalie quietly buried her head. A nearby diner confirmed over, walking and saying, "You were made to act. Don't stop now," Wagner said coldly. She should be home with her husband and kids. Around 10 p.m., the trio returned to glory. The yacht's captain, Dennis Diver, said the tone altered. 48 hours CBS reported the sound of bottles shattering and shouting followed by stillness. Wagner reported Natalie missing at 1:30 a.m., but harbor witnesses said they heard a woman crying roughly 2 hours earlier, which led detectives to suspect Wagner delayed phoning for aid. Natalie's body was recovered hours later. Accidental drowning due to alcohol, police said. Even within the investigation team, some elements appeared suspect. Despite reports she battled, her life jacket was untorn. Not even fingernail residue was analyzed despite her wrist scratches. The dinghy she purportedly left in the yacht was tied securely and unused. Several scene photos disappeared and reappeared in 2011. In subsequent years, the media asked inquiries. People magazine wondered, why was her life jacket backward? Why would someone afraid of water go out alone on a cold night? Journalist Dominic Dunn Vanity Fair remarked, "I've seen suffering, but never anyone suffer as meticulously as Robert Wagner." The case was closed until 2011. Story altered by Captain Davern. Wagner had lost. He said he lost his rage and prohibited anyone from turning on the lights for Natalie. The case was reopened. Robert Wagner was a person of interest in 2018. The updated inquiry report said death reason unknown. It seemed it would fade till Stefanie Powers, Wagner's long-standing co-star from Heart to Heart, broke her silence. They had been close since meeting in a set in 1979, became TV's most in-sync pair. Stefanie called Wagner her kindred soul, the one who understood her, better timing and emotions than anyone. After Natalie's death, Wagner sought Stefanie's companionship, gave them solace and years of closeness. But Stefanie disclosed something in a Variety interview. Unexpected. "I read the 2012 autopsy file. Portions were censored. The public copy lost some pages. The original featured notes concerning Natalie's wrists, circular bruises, and deep bruising. The 1981 public report omitted her rib abrasions." Stefanie noted, "Natalie's struggles were hidden. They wanted to think she fell." That revelation shook people. Hollywood. According to several journalists, including Maureen Orth of Vanity Fair, Stefanie's account matched their internal files access. She also remembered Wagner changing after the catastrophe. During he got distant and distracted in the final season of Heart Tort. pausing mid-sentence to stare at space. Stefanie remembered his shadowy existence. He probably never slept again after that night. Though she did not accuse him, her words reopened a door Hollywood tried to remain closed. If even the woman who shared years-off connection and trust with Robert Wagner insists details were purposely concealed, then perhaps this decades-old mystery's core question, how did Natalie Wood's death, remains unaccounted for. And from that experience, Hollywood began to examine the true lives behind the glamour. Love affairs, rumors, and half-truths became clearer in Robert Wagner, more focused than ever. In the mid-1950s, Hollywood was approaching its golden age. A young star was lauded across America as the aristocrat of the studio. Robert Wagner was in his early 20s. 20th Century Fox made him famous as Clark Gable's successor, stylish male, with a cell that would make any woman sigh. Yet from that moment, his name became synonymous with a spate of romantic scandals that remembered today. At the time, Beverly Hills was the land of countless gatherings. Wagner frequently visited the Beverly Hills Hotel, where reporters from the LA Examiner waited in the foyer for him. He was often spotted with Joan Collins, Debbie Reynolds, and Elizabeth Taylor with different women. But the real relationship, Sethi's affair with Barbara Stanwyck, the great actress, sparked Hollywood. Double Indemnity, 23 years his senior. Titanic filming brought them together. 1953. Barbara was already a Hollywood star. Wagner was a struggling young actor that proved himself. But Stanwyck's brilliance seemed to captivate him. Timely newspapers couldn't stop speculation that they were dating. Even the LA Examiner published a midnight shot of them leaving the set with the caption, "Like a love story, the experienced star finds life again with Rex Reed." A journalist stated years later that Barbara added, "He rejuvenates me. I forget everything else. How old am I?" That confirmed the rumors. Yet, the Hollywood, then unjudgmental about age disparity, fiercely opposed relationship-romances. They kept their affair hidden for years. That Wagner's romance with Barbara lingered when he met Natalie Wood, new generation star, America's cherished princess, 18 of screen. Natalie was an A-lister after Rebel's success. While Wagner rebuilt his career without a cause, Wagner proposed a few months after meeting at director Nicholas Ray's Christmas party to ABC, showed their 1957 Beverly Hills Hotel wedding live. A rare event, that event then. They appeared on Life's cover with title, America's Golden Duo, Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner. Behind the smiles, cracks appeared in their marriage. Natalie was at the height of her career, receiving new film offers. Wagner struggled to stand. Natalie's close friend later said People magazine. She said Robert liked her, but couldn't stand her when she was more success than him. Natalie became closer to her co-stars on set. Although allegations circulated that Wagner often lost his temper, the Hollywood Reporter claimed that he tended to arrive unannounced on set when his wife worked with men. Director, co-star. In 1961, affair rumors circulated. Director, co-star. In 1961, affair rumors circulated. After Lulz Vita, Wagner and Swedish model Anita Ekberg traveled, the tabloid's Confidential published Palm Springs photos titled, The Nordic Rose and the Married Man. Natalie divorced a year later. She scrawled 2 words on the album. Irreconcilable disputes, no blame, no drama. Everyone recognized the actual cause that didn't clash. Wagner married actress Marion Marshall in 1963 after their divorce. Katie was their daughter. 6 years later, that marriage dissolved. Wagner reunited with Natalie Wood at Frank Sinatra's Malibu party in 1972. If they danced to The Way You Look Tonight, and everything seemed fine. Forgiveness for past errors. The media was startled by their remarriage. Yet strange indications underpinned that fairy tale reunion. Natalie told her close friend Mark Crowley that she and Robert tried marriage counseling to fix problems. Notes from Dr. Later. Beverly Hills Dr. Eugene Landy leaked that Natalie worried about her husband's sudden rages. That narrative was unknown until Stefanie Powers, Wagner's co-star in Heartort, suddenly mentioned it in an interview. Wagner had an unpredictable energy when filmed, she said, sometimes sensitive, sometimes changing inside seconds. Stefanie plainly said, he was charming. However, only his lovers could see his gloom. These disclosures made the public rethink Robert's new take on Wagner's love narrative. Man previously lauded as embodiment of classic Hollywood romance was now considered as fascinating and deeply divided. A phrase from Vanity Fair, now sounding prophetic. Robert Wagner walks in beauty. Women as mirrors, seeing himself in each. Brilliant, but twisted. From these scandals, Wagner's image grew complex from Stanwyck to Natalie Wood, a man who could make women adore and fear him. When Catalina Island disaster erupted in 1981, all his former relationships' secrets revealed. Then Hollywood wondered, was Natalie Wood's death a coincidence? Accident or terrible end of a love with too many secrets? A long civil case followed the question, revealing the long-buried truth again. For 40 years passed, but Hollywood still mourns Natalie Wood. The night of November 28, 1981, Catalina Island seized did more than claim a movie star. They created a riddle that haunts American movies. For decades. Although officials initially ruled it an accidental drowning, few believed it, including Natalie's younger sister Lana Wood, who was intoxicated, never accepted that explanation. Lana was more than a sister. She, having worked with Natalie, seen her secrets, and seen her darker side, her Robert Wagner marriage. In D-Line NBC interviews, Inside On Edition, and Good Morning America, she repeated the question, why is no one talking when the truth is under the sea? In 2011, Splendor guest Lana Wood and yacht captain Dennis Davernay new statement was published that fatal night. Davern stated he heard something heavy fall, a woman scream, and eerie silence. He stated Robert Wagner was agitated, throwing items, and blocking people. Me on the lights to find her. The news rocked Hollywood. Bomb. The LA Times headlined, Lana Wood reopens the Catalina nightmare. America's perfect husband image took the biggest hit, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Soon after, Lana hired legal team, led by Michael Agira, filed a Los Angeles Civil Action Superior Court ordering a full reopening and her sister's examined body again. The public exploded. Within days, major Vanity Fair and Daily News featured the yacht's beauty, eerie caption. Was this an accident or a hidden scene? Truth? In November 2011, the LAS declared the inquiry reopened. The report discovered several previously unknown details. Circles on Natalie's body resemble fist marks. Fall. The oddest thing was that her life jacket was on backwards, almost unthinkable for a sentient individual. CBS's 48 Hours Mystery aired in 2013 that special episode, Death in Dark Water, showing forensic images. Abrasions on Natalie's wrist suggested someone tried to hold her back. The discovery stunned Americans. In an interview, Lana Wood wavered in an interview with The Guardian that I don't want revenge. I just want the truth. That man should answer my sister. The nation trembled because everyone understood who she meant. In 2018, LAPD made headlines again when they named Robert Wagner a man of interest, a potential case participant. None were charged. Filed. But that phrase alone ruined Wagner's career again. Robert Wagner played the role for years, noted Vanity Fair's Maureen Orth sad widower, but Catalina's ghost has never left him. Wagner remained silent. He gave no interviews, no comments, and a brief statement from his lawyer. Nothing new to report. Silence increased popular distrust. Such quiet no longer feels defensive. Feels like wordless confession. The public then began to examine Wagner's words and actions since Natalie's death. Many remembered Stefanie Powers, his heart-to-heart co-star and closest confidant, noticed a major difference in him. Stefanie claimed on CBS Sunday Morning that he would sit silently. Hours between takes, eyes closed. Once I thought it was grief, but now maybe it was deeper, looking back. Later, she admitted at a shot Wagner confessed to her in Hawaii. I have trouble sleeping. I still hear water. That sentence, remembered years later afterward, gave people chills. The Wood civil action was more than just a legal battle. Truth and Hollywood's desired image clashed in the memory war. Lana Wood lost in court, but achieved much more. She made the world ask again, the Catalina waters, what happened? Revisiting old archives revealed a hidden struggle regarding riches, inheritance, and hidden interests after Natalie Wood's death, in addition to sorrow. A catastrophe unfolded, revealing the evil side of money, celebrity, trust, and unspoken secrets. Days after Natalie Wood's body was found, Hollywood experienced a rare chilly mourning. On December 3, 1981, her funeral was held at Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles. There were hundreds of stars, directors, and producers in attendance. Hollywood icons including Frank Sinatra, Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson, and Gene Kelly bowed before the image of the once-renowned center of Hollywood. According to the Los Angeles Times, the ceremony was so quiet that one could hear sobbing between the constant camera flashes. Even before the white wreaths faded, concerns arose behind the funeral scenes. Who would manage Natalie Wood's estate? In 1978, Hurwell left her $3 million fortune, including her Beverly Drive home, the Palm Springs retreat, and royalties from classic films like West Side Story and Rebel Without a Cause, to her daughters, Natasha Gregson Wagner and Courtney Wagner. Robert Wagner, her widower, was appointed full guardian, a significant and prestigious position. The initial months were fairly calm. Wagner was often seen holding his daughters tightly during tributes to Natalie on red carpets. Those photographs eased popular pain. Shortly after 6 months, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner revealed a shocking revelation. Wagner sold Natalie's Palm Springs villa, her former safe haven, along with her jewelry and art collection. He said to pay for child rearing. The Wood family responded quickly. Natalie's mother, Maria Zaccarino, and sister, Lana Wood, deemed the relocation too abrupt and cold. Lana stated in an Entertainment Tonight interview that no true griever would sell a loved one's things months after their demise. That single comment rattled the public more than any evidence. In later years, Wagner tightened his financial management. Tax papers from 1984 indicate his involvement in numerous business deals employing Natalie's image, including film re-release rights, marketing initiatives, and republishing old images. Part of the first revenues were allocated to the Natalie Wood Arts Scholarship Fund, which was abolished 2 years after her death. No one knew why, and Wagner never provided an answer. New York Daily News published an investigative report in 1986, citing Natalie's close acquaintance. In the event of her death, she stated that her mother would care for the children, not Robert. Although unsubstantiated, the report fueled the fire. The public suspected Wagner was not just the legal beneficiary, but the sole one. Wagner was mute, but Fred Luskin, his lawyer, spoke. All information is transparent under California law. However, transparency on paper may not reflect heartfelt honesty. A chilling statement from Vanity Fair is still remembered. In mourning, Robert Wagner lives too well. Within 2 years of Natalie's death, Wagner drove a new silver Rolls-Royce to a Beverly Hills event with her close friend, actress Jill St. John. The sight shocked Hollywood. The September 1981 issue of People magazine featured the title, "The Famous Widower Finds New Comfort," a sweet word that sparked national excitement. Many said it proved Wagner never grieved. However, his longtime co-star Stefanie Powers had a different perspective. In an interview with Closer Weekly, she stated, "I saw him alone in his trailer, staring into space as if speaking to someone. I asked, and he replied quietly. I occasionally hear her voice." Stefanie believed Wagner was fearful and that wealth did not bring happiness. She acknowledged that Wagner changed after 1982, remaining quiet and only addressing Natalie when asked. The two families' split complicated the matter. The Woods believed Wagner was claiming Natalie's estate, while Wagner's side said they were denying reality. No court case was filed, but the tension persisted for years. Wagner married Jill St. John in 1990 after moving in with her in the late 1980s. Some speculated that the guy previously known as Hollywood's widower was composing his next act on someone else's suffering, but the public saw it as a fresh chapter for him. Although Natalie Wood's estate was never resolved in court, it caused a significant rift between the two families. One side believes justice was never served. The other said it was too late to change anything. Despite contracts, mansion sales, and untraced monies, the truth remains unvaluable. In 2008, Robert Wagner published his memoir Pieces of My Heart, sparking curiosity about both his narrative and the secrets he kept hidden. 2. Following nearly 30 years of silence, Robert Wagner returned to the media in 2008 with a placid smile and sorrowful eyes. Instead of returning through film, he chose the safer but more perilous medium of writing. In HarperCollins' Pieces of My Heart, the author wrote a letter of remorse to the past and loved ones. However, the audience saw it as a courtroom where Wagner defended himself. Wagner, a rising star nurtured by 20th Century Fox as the heir to Clark Gable, revisited the golden period of Hollywood in the 1950s and 1960s in almost 400 pages. He explored youth, celebrity, romance, and loneliness in the studio's bright lights. However, the middle chapters devoted to Natalie Wood, his lifelong love, caused the most controversy. The author wrote about 70 pages on Natalie with nostalgic regret. Wagner referred to her as a never-ending flame and attributed her demise to a tragic event with no responsibility. He claimed there were no fights or jealousy, just a fatal night at sea. However, the public was outraged by his fuzzy account, which contradicted witness accounts and the 1981 investigative report. NBC reported that Captain Dennis Diver, the sole survivor of the Splendor Yacht incident, stated that Wagner lost his temper and delayed the search. Wagner depicted Davern as a loyal and diligent individual in his memoir. Vanity Fair journalist Maureen Orth noted that Wagner portrays the catastrophe as if he were the sole victim, highlighting the discrepancy. The title of the Los Angeles Times denigrated My Heart and her story, suggesting Wagner was inventing history to benefit himself. It wasn't just Natalie. Wagner used the book to reminisce about his past romantic relationships. He expressed strong affection for Barbara Stanwyck, his 23-year-old senior. She taught me to love and live in a harsh world. The author claimed being charmed by Marilyn Monroe at a Chateau Marmont party and briefly dating Joan Collins, which led to the press coining the term Wagner's Web of Women. Public outrage stemmed from his writing style, not the individuals he loved. Wagner said Natalie could be too sensitive. Barbara was lonely and unable to reject affection, while Joan was feisty but lacking in depth. His calm, thoughtful tone transformed his lifelong women into supporting characters in his solo drama. Pieces of My Heart hit the New York Times top 10 bestseller list immediately. Wagner appeared on prominent talk shows. Watch Larry King live on The Today Show and Oprah. Each time he mentioned that fatal night at sea, the audience went silent. He put down his head and said, "I'll never forget the last image of her." It wasn't raw grief to many. A well-staged performance. Lana Wood, Natalie's younger sister, responded most harshly in an Access Hollywood interview. He wrote it to hide his guilt, not to tell the truth, she remarked plainly. That book allows me to remove my sister's memory. Wagner allegedly issued his memoir when most witnesses were elderly or gone, controlling public memory before any dispute. In 2014, Wagner released a second memoir titled You Must Remember This. The second novel was more nostalgic than the first, which was a plea for vindication. Memories of partying with Cary Grant, filming with B. Davis, and dancing with Elizabeth Taylor and Sophia Loren were recalled. Public indignation arose from his hazy confessions about prior flings, including one with Audrey Hepburn, whom he termed the lady who inspired him to be a better man. Though unverifiable, the narrative thrust his name back into the spotlight. According to Hollywood reporter-critic Janice Min, Robert Wagner is well-versed in media. He doesn't need to prove the truth. He must effectively communicate so that people forget to ask. However, the most intriguing element was a brief piece on his longtime co-star, Stefanie Powers. Wagner called her the most lovely spirit I've met. Many were surprised when Stefanie, previously his confidant, revealed a new side of the Hollywood gentleman. In a 2024 Daily Mail interview, Stefanie disclosed Robert's dual identity. Point one was the charming, clever man everyone loved. The other was a lonely person who always hid something. Wagner often sat motionless on set for hours, gazing into the horizon, then laughing to hide his emotions during filming. She claimed he never spoke directly about Natalie, but would gaze down when someone addressed her, as if seeing something only he could see. Stefanie reported that Wagner sent her a copy of Pieces of My Heart with a statement stating, "This is my truth." Her belief was never complete. "He writes beautifully," remarked, "but I can feel there are chapters missing, the ones he didn't want anyone to read." Rather than criticizing or accusing Wagner, her statements sparked a debate as someone who had long known and backed him. You must remember this by the end. Wagner failed to provide answers to the remaining queries. He used each line as a cloak, obscuring the facts while keeping attention on him. After leaving Hollywood, he moved to Aspen, Colorado with Jill St. John, away from the spotlight. But memories never sleep. When Robert Wagner is mentioned, the public recalls two things, even in his 90s. one tragic love tale on Catalina Island, and the two contradicting books he left behind. At 82, Stefanie Powers speaks up, causing Hollywood to pause. Not only did she appear beside Wagner on TV, but she also witnessed the man beneath the perfect gentleman's mask. Perhaps her narrative is the puzzle piece the world has been searching for decades. Interested in learning more about Hollywood's hidden secrets, where beauty coexists with unspoken secrets? Be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, and leave a comment below. What do you think of Stefanie P's confessions? Maybe the long-buried truth is coming out. Was it the fading memories of someone who once lived in the story? Voice your opinion. Who knows? Discover what Hollywood has been concealing for over 40 years.